the year 2054, on the planet Niflheim, Mickey regains consciousness, frozen stiff at the bottom of a massive crevice. Just then, he spots a ship nearby and calls out to his buddy Timo, who is stunned to see Mickey still breathing. But when Timo steps out, he simply picks up Mickey's flamethrower, shrugging that it's pointless to save him since Mickey's fate is sealed anyway. This Mickey isn't the original, he's the 17th clone. Every time Mickey meets his end, the company just produces a fresh body for him. His memories are uploaded weekly into a computer system and then transferred to the new body upon printing, ensuring he never misses a beat. It's become such a routine in the science division that the staff barely even notice him anymore. During the creation of Mickey 17, a hose accidentally detached from the printer, disrupting the process until a technician finally fixed it. Since cloning is illegal on Earth, it's only done in space for people designated as expendables. Mickey is one of them. Someone sent on high-risk missions where their survival doesn't matter, as replacements are always on standby. One day, they ordered him to step outside the spaceship for maintenance, but it didn't take long for Mickey to realize the truth. The equipment was perfectly fine. They just wanted him to endure deadly radiation and report every agonizing moment. As he succumbed to it, out of nowhere, a tool slipped and sliced off his hand, which the scientist found fascinating, by the way. The next clone of Mickey they printed only had a quarter of an hour to survive, so the scientists hurried to collect as many samples as they could. Dr. Dorothy called these samples special. All of this began 4 years earlier back on Earth. Mickey and Timo were the best of friends, and it was Timo who talked Mickey into taking out a shady loan to open a macaron shop. Unfortunately, the business flopped, and soon enough, some very dangerous men started hunting them down for repayment. They tried to flee, but the men threw special stun grenades that electrocuted them until they blacked out. When they regained consciousness, they were face to face with Darius, a mafia boss notorious for carving up his victims with a chainsaw. Mickey and Timo quickly realized they were living on borrowed time unless they found a way to pay off their debt. That's when they made the decision to escape Earth. Mickey applied to join a space colony mission, but with millions of people signing up, the odds were slim. The expedition was headed by Kenneth, a former congressman who had lost his last 2 elections. He still had a loyal following of fanatics, and that loyalty attracted heavy funding from a religious organization. Timo managed to secure a spot easily since, somehow, he had obtained a learner's license for piloting. Mickey, lacking any real qualifications, randomly checked the expendable option on the form without even bothering to read the description. During the orientation, a company staff member showed Mickey around while explaining what being expendable really meant. The printer they used recycled every bit of organic waste from the ship, from leftover food to human waste and even dead bodies, to create the clones. But Mickey found himself too distracted by her captivating scent to pay much attention. Before sending Mickey into the scanner for his first upload, she kindly removed a zit from his forehead so it wouldn't appear on all future copies. Then, she backed up his memories into a storage brick and injected him with a serum that triggered a flood of old recollections, including the painful memory of his mother's passing. While they were driving, little Mickey accidentally hit a red button, which led to the car crashing. Remembering this moment triggered a breakdown for him. A woman then handed him a gun, asking him to end his own life to show his loyalty to the system, saying he needed to become familiar with the idea of dying. But Mickey couldn't bring himself to do it, so she pulled the trigger herself, but the gun didn't fire. After this, the spaceship launched, and Mickey had to adjust to life on board with the rest of the crew. The food on board was terrible, and everyone's portions were tightly controlled. If anyone tried to take extra, an alarm would go off, forcing them to drop it. During the crew's first lunch break, Kenneth appeared along with his wife Ilfa and some assistants from the church. It was obvious Kenneth wasn't very clever, and both Ilfa and the church were using him as their puppet to push their agenda. Most of the crew adored him and were thrilled to see him, though a few remained indifferent. That's when Mickey noticed the security officer, Nasha, and immediately fell for her. Nasha invited him over to her table, and Mickey happily joined. She even shared her meal with him, and they quickly formed a connection. Meanwhile, Kenneth delivered an elaborate speech about their mission to reach a new planet and build their own civilization. Since supplies were limited until they could establish a colony, Kenneth declared a ban on intimate activities to conserve energy. This rule wasn't well accepted, so Kenneth promised that once they settled on a planet, he would promote a campaign to encourage intimacy. His supporters hailed him as a hero, but Mickey and Nasha weren't interested in these restrictions and continued their secret affairs. In their spare moments, they even planned out their intimate moves, assigning them numbers for fun. Crew members often questioned Mickey about what it felt like to die, making him uneasy. One day, Nasha jokingly threatened to shoot them so they could experience it firsthand, sparking a brawl in the cafeteria. Security ended up locking them in a cage overnight, and Mickey's food rations were cut in half as punishment. When women like Kai and Jennifer tried sitting near Mickey to flirt with him, Nasha would immediately step in, making it clear he was already spoken for. Eventually, the ship arrived at Niflheim, and scientists sent Mickey out without any protective gear to collect viruses from the area. He quickly got infected and died, but the experiment kept being repeated to help develop a vaccine. During one attempt, Mickey was still alive inside the body bag, but the scientists threw him into the cycler anyway. Thanks to Mickey's numbered 12 to 16, they finally managed to create a vaccine, allowing humans to explore the planet without masks. Mickey joined the first exploration crew and entered an icy cave. Inside, Kai spotted a hole in the wall and discovered some worm-like aliens. One of the creatures leaped at her, and as she tried to escape, it grabbed onto her leg. One of the team members opened fire, causing the aliens to scatter in fear. After that, the group began their escape, but Jennifer froze when she heard something lurking above her. She fired her weapon at it, but ended up shattering the ice, which collapsed on top of her, crushing her to death. Back at the spaceship, Kenneth angrily shouted at Mickey, blaming him for not dying instead of Jennifer, since that was supposed to be his role. While reviewing some footage of the creatures, Kenneth decided to call them creepers. Mickey's food rations were cut in half once again, and his work shifts were doubled. They assigned him the task of collecting samples from the creepers, while Timo was instructed to fly by occasionally to drop off food. One day, while out on the ice, Mickey accidentally stepped on a weak spot that gave way, sending him plummeting into a deep crevasse. After Timo had left, a massive creeper discovered Mickey and began dragging him away. Soon, a swarm of baby creepers gathered around, nibbling playfully at his fingers. The mother creeper pulled him out of the crevasse and made strange noises at him, which Mickey tried to mimic. As he observed them, Mickey thought to himself that clones must be so repulsive that even alien creatures didn't want to eat them. Then he spotted a company vehicle driving by. He shouted for help, but they couldn't hear him. Desperate, Mickey chased after the truck and eventually managed to climb onto its roof. When he got back to the ship, Mickey headed straight to his room and collapsed onto his bed, only to realize in shock that Mickey 18 had already been printed and was waiting there. 17 panicked, since producing multiple copies was against the law, but 18 quickly grabbed a weight and knocked him unconscious. The problem of duplicates dated back to Earth, when cloning technology was first created. There had always been concerns about its misuse, especially regarding a scientist named Alan, who many suspected to be a sociopath. A witness claimed Alan was responsible for a string of murders targeting homeless people. But Alan had a solid alibi. Eventually, the authorities got a warrant to search Alan's house and uncovered that he had been secretly cloning himself, using his duplicates to commit crimes while he maintained his alibi. During the interrogation of the two Allens, a third clone was still out on the streets continuing the murders. He was caught as well, sparking intense debates about how to apply the law in such an unprecedented case. The church condemned the practice of creating multiples, claiming a soul should only inhabit one body. However, the scientific community argued that the technology had too much potential to waste. Kenneth added to the debate, stating that while printed bodies were sinful, they could serve a greater purpose. He proposed the expendable program, suggesting a rule of keeping just one expendable clone per planet and vowing to eliminate any extras if they appeared. Back in the present, 17 woke up to find 18 dragging him in a cart. He recalled Nasha's words, that every Mickey clone had slight differences, and noticed that 18 seemed far more aggressive. When they arrive at the cycler room, 17 tries to catch 18 off guard with a sneak attack, but 18 notices just in time and starts thrashing him. 17 gets shoved against the cycler opening and hurriedly proposes a deal. They could alternate their shifts and take turns dying. 18 catches on that 17 is terrified of dying and is confused, since he's already experienced it multiple times. Despite 17's emotional plea, saying they're not the same, 18 still tries to push him into the cycler. Before anything happens, they hear footsteps approaching, and both Mickeys quickly hide. It's Timo, who's secretly dealing a party drug called oxazofol to fellow crew members. After the buyer leaves, 18 jumps out and attacks Timo, furious that Timo's scheme ruined his life. He shoves Timo toward the cycler and is about to finish him off, but 17 tackles him to stop it. 17 then attempts to rescue Timo, only for 18 to drag him away. As the clones throw punches, 18 grabs a heated metal rod, ready to strike. But they're interrupted again, as Nasha and Zeke, the head of security, step into the room. 18 warns Timo to play along if he doesn't want his secret drug operation exposed. Timo agrees, and they pretend he slipped, and 18 saved him just in time. 17, hidden in the shadows, watches bitterly as Nasha leaves the room, getting a little too close to 18. 17 tries to go after them, but is stopped by a church official who insists he pose for a photo with the company mascot. The official also announces that Mickey has been selected for a private dinner with Kenneth and Ilfa. Once seated, Mickey devours the incredible food, barely able to contain himself. Kenneth apologizes for how he reacted to Jennifer's death, and soon Kai joins them at the table. The couple expresses regret over Jennifer and shares their vision. They want the colony to remain pure blood, and since Kai fits their ideal, they hope she'll help populate it. While other colonies rely on chips implanted in embryos, they're against that approach. Suddenly, Mickey vomits all over the floor, and the science team rushes in. They spot a rash spreading on his neck and quickly conclude that the experimental growth hormone in the meat caused this reaction. The scientists inject him with a trial medication, but Mickey staggers around in agony before collapsing. Kenneth, thinking it's kinder to end Mickey's suffering, suggests they kill him. Ilfa even shifts her carpet to avoid blood splatter. Kai protests, horrified by their coldness, but Kenneth reminds her Mickey is nothing more than a test subject. Mickey begs them not to shoot, saying he feels better, and Kai helps him out of the room. In Kai's quarters, Mickey notices old photos showing that Kai and Jennifer were once a couple. Kai asks Mickey what dying feels like, hoping to understand what Jennifer experienced. Mickey admits it's terrifying and says he hates it. Then Kai tries to get closer to him, but Mickey freaks out and bolts from the room. When he reaches his own room, Nasha instantly recognizes him as 17, hinting that 18 has already told her the truth. She playfully uses her lipstick to write numbers on the clones' chests, giggling uncontrollably. 18 seems friendlier too, and 17 spots an empty bottle of oxazofol, confirming they've been using it. The clones begin arguing, but Nasha cuts them off, suggesting they simply share the work and food from now on. Then, Nasha brings the clones to the bedroom so they can have some fun together. As things start to get exciting, Kai walks in, catches a glimpse of the scene, and without saying anything, quietly exits. Nasha quickly follows her. Meanwhile, the clones sit watching TV, which is showing Kenneth chatting with his scientists on an absurd talk show. Angrily, 18 throws his drink at the screen, while 17 fills him in on what went down at dinner. 18 grabs Nasha's gun, storming out of the room, determined to confront Kenneth. On the other side, Nasha catches up to Kai, who is intent on reporting the clones as they are illegal. Kai tells Nasha that if she agrees to give her a Mickey, she could remain quiet, but Nasha gets upset, insisting Mickey isn't a toy to be passed around. Their argument is cut short when 18 rushes past them, with 17 chasing after him, warning the women that 18 is armed. At the cafeteria, a massive laser cutter is slicing through a large rock to reveal a black diamond. 18 sneaks into the crowd preparing to shoot, but he's immediately tackled by a fan of Kenneth's. As this happens, a creeper emerges from the rock, causing chaos. People begin fleeing while Kenneth climbs onto a table, shouting orders for sterilization and capturing the creature alive. Scientists scramble to put on hazmat suits and chase after the creeper, but they fail. Kenneth sees 17 enter the room and orders him to join the hunt. When the creeper finally stops running, 17 tries to repeat the sounds he heard earlier, which catches Dorothy's attention. Meanwhile, 18 recovers his gun and opens fire, but 17 and Nasha intervene and tackle him. The bullet grazes Kenneth's cheek and damages the diamond. Kenneth tries to protest about the clones, but before he can, another creeper emerges and attaches itself to his face. Kai and the other guards start shooting at the creeper until it disintegrates into goo, while the scientists manage to capture the first creature. The sound of a baby crying is heard from within the crevasse, drawing attention from the large mother creeper nearby. Moments later, Nasha and the clones find themselves locked in cages. A heated argument breaks out over the creepers, with 17 recounting what happened in the crevasse, saying the creatures were repelled by him. However, Nasha corrects him, revealing that the creepers actually protected him and sent him on his way. Suddenly, a bag hits the sleeping guard on the head. It's Timo, who sneaks in easily because the guard is one of his clients. Timo shows 17 a letter he found at his door, revealing that Darius's men have tracked them down to space. Darius is willing to let the money go if Timo sends him. A video of Mickey being chopped up with a chainsaw. While the guard prepares the camera, Timo breaks down, pleading with 17 to save him, as he believes he's doomed. Kai calls out Timo for his theatrics, prompting him to stop begging, and instead orders the guard to taser 17. 18, however, suggests that Timo should take him instead of 17, claiming he has a higher tolerance for pain, but before that, he requests some oxazofol. As the guard approaches to hand him his item, 18 quickly grabs his wrist and slams his head against the bars. At the same time, Nasha takes the opportunity to snatch his gun and tase Timo. She then grabs the guard's keys to unlock the cell and retrieve the chainsaw, preparing to kill Timo. However, they are soon caught by Zeke, and everyone is arrested once again. While being escorted down the corridors, 17 realizes that Nasha has always had his back, like when she requested a hazmat suit just so she could comfort him during a hazardous experiment. As they reach the front windows, they are shocked to see the creepers now surrounding the spaceship. Meanwhile, the scientists are seen moving a crying baby, and when Dorothy spots 17, she mimics the sounds he made in the cafeteria, which he repeats. She believes it might be a language and thinks she could create a translator for it. The group is then brought into the cycler room, where Ilfa removes the baby's tail to make a new sauce. Kenneth brands 18's cheek with a hot metal rod so he can tell the clones apart. He then orders a scientist to erase the entire memory backup from the brick. Complaining about the creepers, Nasha reveals that the creepers are actually the native species, and the humans are the ones who are alien, further stating that these creatures saved Mickey. Kenneth laughs at this and explains that the creepers didn't eat Mickey because he's considered trash food. Dorothy chimes in, mentioning that her team is working on a translator. The baby on the table spits at Kenneth, who angrily throws the hot rod in response, but misses. Frustrated, Kenneth starts shouting that nothing makes sense, to which Nasha retorts with insults. Enraged, Kenneth suspends the baby above the cycler hole and throws the other end of the rope at Nasha, forcing her to catch it with her teeth to save the creature. Zeke orders one of his men to record everything using a hidden camera on his glasses. Kenneth decides to gas all the creepers, but Ilfa suggests a different plan. Explosives are attached to the clones' backs, and Kenneth is given 2 buttons to detonate them. Ilfa wants them to sever as many creeper tails as possible, with the first Mickey to return with 100 winning the game. The winner gets to live, while the loser will be killed. As they head out, 17 remarks that this is punishment for the car crash. However, 18 disagrees, saying the car had a defect and the button pushing was just a coincidence, so they shouldn't feel guilty for their mother's death. At the entrance, Dorothy meets the boys and hands them a prototype translator. The duo searches through the crowd of creepers until they find the mother, who now understands Mickey. She reveals she saved him, and in return, was met with the killing of her own baby. If the captured creeper dies as well, she vows to kill all humans. To prove her point, she starts screeching and the babies follow suit. The clones cover their ears, but the alien mother explains that their eyes and brains could explode. On the spaceship, Kenneth and Ilfa are terrified when they see the clones communicating with the creepers. Suddenly, 17 charges toward The cameras and forms a C3 with his fingers, a signal Nasha recognizes as the "bring the baby" stance. Ilfa and the church representative dismiss it as nonsense, insisting that Kenneth, as the leader, should be communicating with the new species instead. While Kenneth prepares for a dramatic entrance, 17 reassures the mother that Nasha will indeed bring the baby. However, the mother creeper feels it's insufficient. Since the humans killed a baby, someone must die in return to balance things out. 3 vehicles, led by Kenneth, depart from the spaceship. Meanwhile, Nasha leaps high to capture Ilfa with her legs. Zeke grabs the rope, and Nasha agrees to release Ilfa only if they allow her to take the baby to the mother. As Zeke is about to hand the rope back, Ilfa cuts his wrist, causing him to drop it, but Nasha manages to catch it just in time. Ilfa wants Nasha arrested, but Zeke reveals that Ilfa and Kenneth have been abusive, and their case will be brought before the committee. Seeing the vehicles approaching, the babies rush to shield their mother, forming piles everywhere. The guards are now unsure which one to shoot. Kenneth picks one at random, but just then, 18 appears, so the church representative shoves the soldier to make the rocket explode in the sky, fearing that the clone's bomb would kill them too. Kenneth opens fire, but only hits the camera, giving 18 a chance to leap toward him. As Nasha arrives with the baby, 18 declares that he will kill the human the mother desires. He hesitates briefly, and Kenneth tries to manipulate him with threats of death, but 18 presses the button anyway. The bomb kills both him and Kenneth, and the creepers leave in peace. After the chaos, the entire crew is imprisoned. Ilfa loses her sanity and is sent to a psychiatric ward, where she ends her life. Timo encounters Darius's man, bites off his ear, and tosses him into the cycler, but he gets out on probation for self-defense. The trials for the rest of the crew become a complicated legal and political mess. After Nasha is released from prison, she campaigns for a spot on the committee, hoping to reform the organization. Dorothy finishes the translator, and Mickey spends time chatting with the creepers. He learns that the screeching noise is just random sound they make and isn't harmful to humans. The mother had only been bluffing. 6 months later, Mickey notices someone near the cycler and discovers Ilfa printing a new Kenneth. Mickey points out that she's supposed to be dead, so Ilfa offers her bleeding hand for him to touch. Unlike his fearful memories of his mother's death, Mickey isn't scared anymore. He wakes up, sitting with the crowd, listening to Nasha's speech as the new committee leader. When she announces the end of the Expendables program, Mickey presses a button, destroying the cycler.
Thanks for watching Duty Movie. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell, so you never miss out on our latest uploads. Drop your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. See you in the next one.